Hello and welcome to the first Efma-Accenture Innovation and Insurance webinar for 2021, where today we will be focusing on how to innovate with an agile mindset. Thank you all for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you joining us around the world. We're delighted to have you here. On behalf of Efma and Accenture, I'd like to welcome you. And I'd like to welcome you to also to our speakers. So here with us today, we're pleased to welcome Jean-François Gasc, the MD of Insurance Strategy and Consulting in Europe for Accenture, Inji Charkani, Chief Innovation Officer at AXA Partners, and Patrick Schoofs, Head of Business Development, Non-Life Personal Line at P&V Group. So welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us here today. And so, as I was saying, it's the first of our webinars for 2021, and that's within the context, and I hope you all know, of the Efma-Accenture Innovation and Insurance Awards. And really, what we're aiming to do with this program, and indeed with the webinars, is really to share best practices, to talk about what's going on in the industry, and really to inspire innovation in the insurance industry. So I'm delighted to pass over to Jean-François Gasc, who will be taking us through a few of the trends that he is seeing for what will shape insurance in 2021. Jean-François, over to you.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and welcome everyone to this first edition of this year's series. So this is a series we initiated in 2020, and the aim is really to share more within the innovation award community and learn from each other. So before handing over to Inji and then Patrick, I would like to spend a few minutes highlighting some of the key trends we see driving innovations in 2021 in insurance. And first of all, and this is no surprise, we're all living through a continued COVID-19 environment, and this is dramatically changing the way we live, but it's also affecting insurance, which is not immune from changes. So there is, as you all know, a really remarkable acceleration of usage of digital technologies across the value chain, from pre-sales to sales to claims to services. So we do expect to see an acceleration reflected into this year's innovation submission. So certainly this will have an impact. Another exciting trend we expect to see highlighted in this year's edition is the trend towards expanding beyond traditional insurance. This is, of course, also driven by digital technologies, cloud API, but it's also mostly driven by, a range of new services added to insurance or offered separately from insurance, leveraging some form of partnerships. With the intent of really offering more meaningful value propositions to clients, and also, of course, increased revenue base. So the entries to date, the entries we have received so far from this year's edition actually highlight this trend. So great to see this growing up, and we do expect to see various forms of partnerships continue to pop up to better serve customers. Another trend we see, and we were just discussing with Inji and Patrick, is the shift towards more value-added insurance embedded into people's life. So customers are calling for more customized offerings. They want things on demand, closer to their needs, adapted to their demographics. This is obviously a trend. This was already present in 2020 Innovation Award. We do expect to see to grow, and I think the two cases we'll have presented by Inji and Patrick will illustrate that. A fourth trend, probably very important, is also that this pandemic situation is altering the risk landscape. So really new risks popping up, or risks that were existing suddenly become much more visible. So products are being developed to actually take care and help customers meet those needs, manage those new needs. In the space of SME insurance, lots of products around continuity, cyber risk, you name it. So lots of new innovation in that space. And lastly, I think we all feel the impact of climate change. It's no longer a discussion point of whether there is climate change, it's happening. And so this is becoming a big matter for everyone, every customer, and also for insurers. So we have coined the theme of sustainable insurers, which we see performing better than their peers. We do expect to see quite a few innovations in that space this year, hopefully. With that, I will finish my comments. Just a slight reminder that we have this year's 6th edition. The awards are open for your submissions. I think submissions will be closed on April 6th, so you still have almost a month to prepare. It's a great opportunity for you to share your ideas, to reward your team, get visibility, be visible as a leader. So really encouraging all of you to participate. We will have a Q&A session towards the end after Inji and Patrick have spoken. So prepare your question. You can use the chat in the chat window. Probably we'll do our best to fit as many questions as possible in the time remaining. And now is the time for me to introduce Inji. Inji is the Chief Innovation Officer for AXA Partners, leading, as you know, leading B2B2C company. AXA Partners and Inji are also a regular participant to the Efma Award. They actually won the Bronze Award a year ago with the innovation that she will be presenting. And so I think before we go deeper into this project, Inji has suggested we share a video illustrating this blockchain insurance for unemployment submission, and so that you get a sense of what it's about. So maybe if you could run the video, that would be great.
How to simplify the compensation process in case of job loss. Losing your job is always a difficult period. In addition to professional uncertainty and financial stress, you have to face numerous and repetitive administrative tasks. With traditional payment protection insurance or income protection insurance, you have to declare your status, provide documents, sign in monthly, update your status, provide documents, sign in monthly. Each month, less time and energy to search for a new job. Now with AXA, we are taking care of everything. With one consent at the beginning of your unemployment period, we bring to customers paperless process, zero task all along the unemployment period, fast payment, compensation received every month at the same date, secure, all digital encrypted data, no error, no delay. At AXA Partners, we want to maximize the chances to recover a job. AXA Partners has joined forces with the Swedish public employment service, Arbetsförmedlingen, and the startup Stratum to launch this innovative blockchain-based solution on payment protection in case of involuntary unemployment. Look at what customers say. Everything works quickly and smoothly with my compensation. So far, they have worked painlessly. Good and smooth insurance that pays me the money instead of paying my loans. Insurance is like a saving angel when unemployment strikes. Ready for next generation credit and lifestyle protection with AXA Partners.
So thanks, Inji. This video calls for more explanation of how you design the product and how you expand it, and what's the adoption level.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, because that was about a year ago, and we wanted to improve the customer journey when our end customer were facing unemployment. And as you understood, there were in the past tedious tasks we had to produce. Unemployed people had to produce every time certificates that they were unemployed. And what we wanted to do is, through one consent, automate and facilitate the payment of income protection, but also the mortgage that our end customers subscribe. So what happened about a year after is that the pandemic hit, and with the pandemic, unfortunately, there were even more unemployed. So even more people, unfortunately, lost their job. But what is very interesting is that this solution became more and more popular. So we had 85% consent ratio. So that's quite impressive, and we keep on having excellent NPS. So really our end customer appreciate the fact that now, thanks to this solution, they are able to spend their time to search for a job rather than filling tedious administrative forms, either on one hand with the unemployment chamber, IF, and with ourselves. So that's a win-win, and they really appreciate. What is also interesting, because at the end we co-create an innovation with our business partner. So it was the CLP business with Winside AXA Partners. But what's more interesting is that, and satisfying and rewarding for an innovation officer is that this solution has been even enhanced. So ever since we hand over to our business partner, they didn't lose the momentum, and they kept improving under the leadership of, Nicolas Homo. They kept improving this solution, and now it is scaled, and it is about to scale in the Nordics. But moreover, we want to even improve the customer journey. What you saw about a year ago is getting the consent at the claims moment. But what if, we obtain the consent of the customer at the underwriting? And this is exactly what my colleagues are doing now to even enhance the solution further. And I think that's really great when you see that the solution actually scales, not only in the improvement of the solution itself, but also on a more geographical scale in the Nordics. So I'm very happy about the development of this solution, and that it serves basically end customers.
That's great to hear. And what about the agile dimension or the agile mindset that you apply to this innovation, or maybe more broadly to the innovations within AXA, as this is a theme of our
yes, I'd like to come back to that, because I think there is a lot of confusion between innovation and agile, although the two could be connected. So innovation is about creating change, and agile is a methodology about adapting to change. So I think setting the scene in that way, we see that one could be a mean to the other and serving the other. So typically in my line of work, so operational open innovation, there were basically 4 principles that I reused from Agile. The first one is operating on short cycles. It's having also the capacity to deliver a solution in less than 1 year. We have a philosophy with my team. We say fail fast or scale fast. And it's this capacity to pivot and decide whether it's worthy of iterating, adapting, pivoting, that is interesting. So that's one dimension. The second one that we also take from the Agile methodology is that we always involve end customers. So the ones benefiting from the solution, it was the case with the blockchain solution. We always have to involve actually the people who are unemployed to see whether the solution is worthy of their expectation, of their needs, and that's something fundamental in every single innovation project we run. The third one is the fast track lane. It doesn't mean that we do not want to play by the book. Quite the opposite. We are always respecting GDPR and IT security, if that's a question some people have. We don't play by sandbox. That's also something clear. We respect that, but if I were to make an analogy, it's like using the highway rather than the little winding roads. And it's not because you use the highway that you don't respect the speed limit. So we also like to avoid bureaucracy and have these fast lane element. And the fourth one is the people. The people involved in an innovation project is a combination of expertise. It's a squad team being totally empowered to deliver in this short period of time, less than a year, the project. So empowerment of people, I think, is a very important ingredient that we can take from Agile in order to execute the innovations. It's on the how aspect. So all in all, I would say that having an innovative Agile mindset is having the capacity to work in an open ecosystem with simplicity, being easy to work with. That's one thing, not only internally, but also with our technical partners, be it startup or scale-ups, but also with our big clients. It's building those bridges between disruptive and new technologies and real business pain points, to sum up.
Quite a nice summary, Inji. And as this was brought to market during the pandemic? Do you see, variations or changes in the way you operated, or more agile ways of operating in this very particular context of scaling and innovation?
Well, you've said it, Jean-François. COVID clearly accelerated the use of digital services in your introduction, and that increased clearly as well the attractiveness of fintech and insurtech players. And I believe as well, more deeply, and my line of work again, the pandemic revealed the need of protection. I believe people now are more conscious about what insurance and assistance services can provide to them. The feeling to be protected is really more mature now in our society. And therefore, also it had tainted our portfolio of innovation. So to give you an example, in the past, we were very focused about improving and simplifying the lives of our end customers, but it became equally important to simplify and enhance the work of our employees. So you see now we have developed two solutions, and one of them is really about the enhancement and the simplification of the lives of our employees, and I believe it's equally important. So you mentioned as well something that is important, it's open insurance, and I think we'll come to that, because precisely we are a B2B2C company. Distributing insurance to third parties or services to third party or assistant, it's not new to AXA Partners. We have several lines of business, and we've always done it. Yeah. So what is new, what is really new, is the way consumers behave, their expectation, the need for personalization, the need to pay less for more, value for money, the transparency element. And these are new elements that leads us to be a little more creative in the way we design and orchestrate the integration of our solution with our B partners. I think this is a very interesting challenge we are facing these days.
Thank you. And so with all those changes, and particularly, which I completely concur with, which is that now the sense of the value of protection is visible. I mean, business continuity, saving, health-related services, all of that was in high demand and becomes really seen as value. What do you have in your, without revealing secrets, I do hope you will be presenting innovations for 2 days for this year's award. What do you have in your secret coffers or your skunk works?
Well, okay, you mentioned previously open insurance or embedded insurance. It's two sides of the same coins. It depends on the perspective we are taking. But that's one challenge. But behind that, you have pricing sophistication, agile pricing, omni-channel dimension. So that's one of it. But the other one I was really amazed, and perhaps you will see it in our submission, is the use of AI in our lines of business. The application of AI became really more mature, and we've been deploying a solution on a multi-channel, multilingual level in Belgium, leveraging NLP, and we saw fantastic results. And what these fantastic results are interesting because it's about augmented agent. Because technology is serving human. I would like not to oppose the two. I believe in our line of work, again, human has totally its place, but technology and AI can really serve to augment our agent. And this is really what I really appreciated in this, beyond the dimension that was multi-channel, the complexity, the technical beauty of it. It's also delivering value for our employees, but it's also delivering value to the end customer in the end. And I think when we reach that level of both efficiency and satisfaction of end customers, we've done our job, and innovation has reached its purpose.
We're at Accenture, we have coined the thing human plus.
Yes.
And I think you're precisely spot on. It's combining AI and human service to provide a more meaningful, more speedy, better service. So are you both targeting, the servicing dimension and the let's say, underwriting dimension, or you see
yeah,
that?
we look at several things. Again, in our portfolio, we are looking at these two elements, indeed, new pricing models potentially. These are quickly the points of attention.
Okay, so
we had as well another application I was mentioning of blockchain for internal financial reconciliation. So the process of intercourse, that's also a very fascinating project we've had.
And maybe I see time running, but maybe last question, Inji, about the innovation in the B2B2C context, where, I mean, you're mostly a B2B2C company. You serve end customers, but through partnerships with clients. Are there specificities to the way you approach innovation project or agile innovation projects in that context? You touched.
Yes, it has to be a win-win. And it has to be done in a co-creation mindset. So making sure we understand what are the pain points, how to create value that would be beneficial throughout the whole chain. So that's how we approach it more and more.
So it's really embedding the partner into the thinking and designing of the solution, which is then implies to have their end clients involved, as you mentioned earlier, for the solution. Quite
and making sure, you know, as you mentioned, that in the life moment of this customer, we provide the right service at the right moment.
Very, very interesting. I'm sure, well, I don't have the chat in front of me. I'm sure you will have questions because this ties a little bit to this theme of open insurance and embedded insurance, and which became much more evident during this you know, mostly confined way of working, that there are new opportunities there. So thank you very much, Inji, for all those very insightful comments. I think now would like to introduce Patrick. Patrick, if you can maybe open your camera. There we are. Hello, Patrick. So Patrick is the head of new product and marketing for non-life at P&V, so well-known Belgium insurance company, also a former Accenture alumni. So good to see you, Patrick. And I'm eager to learn about this Bike by P&V implementation, a project you launched about a year ago, I think quite successfully. Maybe you can share insights on how you approached this project with an agile mindset.
Will do. Thanks, Jean-François, and good to see you again. So you can go to the next slide so that I give you a bit of context about this challenge. The challenge was basically very simple. We launched last year that new bike insurance, but basically what you have to know is that our sales team and distribution partners were demanding this product since 2 years before. So that was a high pressure demand, but due to all internal, I would say, constraint, IT, budget, priorities, whatever it was, we could not do it. So we said, well, okay, we can do it, but there are some rules that we will have to follow and that everybody has to accept. And 3 of those rules were very disruptive also for us. We said, okay, we are going to do it, but you have to accept that we will forget about everything we know. Okay, so forget about the process and very complex process we use to follow in an intermediated market. Forget about pricing, complex product, and all those stuff. We are going to simplify everything, and it was surprisingly very well received. And even today we see it. I will come back to this. So you can switch to next. The way we approach a project is we basically looked at other industries, and in our case, we looked at the streaming industry, very successful and booming industry. And we took some principles from there. Amongst those, you can subscribe in a few clicks. It's 100% digital. It's a monthly fee, and you will see it. We immediately applied that principle. You can sub whenever you want, and it's not complex at all. If you want to watch on your smartphone, TV, tablet, or whatever it is, it's always the same. Okay. Next slide. So we took those principles and we said, okay, let's make it simple for us as well. So the product is extremely simple. There is just one basic package and two options. So no fancy options, complex selections, and so on. It's very straightforward. Where many of our competitors made distinctions between different type of bikes and so on, we said, well, we're going to make it simple. It's always the same. It does not really matter which bike you ride. We're going to offer exactly the same kind of solution. You can subscribe in a few clicks. Well, for us, we did it as well, 100% STP, no gray zone. So we accept or we refuse in some cases. There are a few exceptions, but we don't want to enter in very complex underwriting processes and so on. Of course, 100% digital, so no paper, instant processes, instant insurance in only a few clicks. We apply the monthly fee principles of the streaming industry as well, and where most of the insurance are paid on a yearly basis. Here, it's really on a monthly basis. It's paid by credit card only to make it even more straightforward in terms of processing. And it's an important point for us as well. It avoids complex collection process because it's paid or it's not paid. And with a credit card, you know it instantly. It's not paid, there is no money. Of course, we try several times. We do not consult the policy within the second. But with this kind of processes, you can automate fully your collection process. And you can stop whenever you want. It was mentioned previously during the webinar, expectations from the clients are changing. Somehow they want something and maybe later they don't want it anymore. Here again, it's not like you are engaged for 1 year with us. If you want to stop, you can just stop your insurance, and that's perfectly fine. It's just a click and it's done. So we applied basically those principles, and you can move forward. We here I've listed some enablers for this project, which were very important for P&V and helped us to be successful. So I think I mentioned maximum simplification. It was critical for us. And I would say we even disrupted the way we used to work, for example, with independent brokers, where in Belgium, it's a broker market for 90%. There are a lot of rules, habits, processes, the way to exchange data with them and so on. We say we get rid of all of this and we see what's happening. And basically it works. So surprisingly, but it works. It also means that sometimes you should dare to disrupt and come with something completely different. They also like simplicity. Agile, we worked in sprints of 2-3 weeks with a dedicated team. And that was crucial, that the team is really dedicated to the project. Otherwise, for us, it would have been impossible to do it within 3 months if people are not very focused on the project. You should dare to look at it out of the box. So get rid of all the internal constraints you may know. In our case, we even leverage an external platform coming from our partner Gasc, and it helped us to be very agile and deliver on such a short time frame. Do not aim for perfection. We launched it as quickly as possible. Of course, it has to be good enough to be launched, but I like the metaphor that was used before the highway. We try to get rid of all those most fancy options. Yeah, it would be better this, it would be better that. Of course, there is always something which is or might be better, but launch it as quickly as possible and then observe, listen, what's going on. And if needed or where needed, we try to improve it. And the greenfield approach, as I mentioned, if we would have not forgotten about everything we knew in the past, it would have not been possible. So those key enablers were very important for us and helped us to make this happen and make this successful. So in a nutshell, that was our story journey for 2020 in this project. Well, I don't know what you think, Jean-François, about this.
Well, I'm quite impressed knowing a little bit the PMV culture, so probably questions to follow on that dimension. But first of all, you mentioned you've chosen an external platform or partner, actually an InsurTech to help you. How did you make that choice, and was it so obvious for the company? Because we do see a trend of InsurTech plus incumbent partnership and even long-term relationship building up. So that's a very interesting dimension of your project.
Yeah. The reason why we choose for an external partner, in this case, Casco, as I mentioned, the first thing was get rid of everything internal, because we would not have been agile enough to deliver so quickly with our internal platform. Otherwise, we would have done it before, but as I mentioned, it was already 2 years ago since people were asking for this product. The second element is that we wanted to have a kind of product lab next to the legacy system, where we can try something different. It can be different from a process perspective, from a business model perspective, from a product perspective. It does not really matter, but we can try something different, and we can be agile enough to make the solution evolve over the time. So it was quite obvious that without an external partner, we would not have been able to bring that agility on the table and making it happen. Yeah.
So quite, from my perspective, my understanding, quite a dramatic shift away from, let's say, existing rules and procedures of P&V. Now that you've actually succeeded in implementing a product in 3 months with very different principles, any rip-off effect or side effect or beneficial effect on other projects or the broader company and the way you approach product design or project implementation?
There are a few impact, of course, not necessarily on innovation as such, but one of the impact is the way to collaborate. So being very focused, bringing different people around the same table, each of them having their own skills and expertise. That's something that now we also try to push as much as possible, even in the business as usual. So in the daily activities, more and more, we will try, starting this year, to create transversality across the different departments. That's also a way to make people more committed, create more ownership, I would say, around the product or the processes they are responsible for. Another impact is, I would say, just proving internally that yes, we are able to do it. It's not because we are a company with a legacy of thousands of years and all those stuffs that we cannot be agile enough. But still, you need the right context to do it. It's one thing to say, yeah, we want to be agile. But on the other hand, if you don't create the right context, and context is not about only culture. It's about the working environment, the tools you give to the people, just the ability to focus on it and spend time on innovation and don't be busy with all your business as usual activities. Otherwise, you just do that and. Voilà. So yeah, it had some impact. We still have to learn from it. It's a continuous learning process, but it has, yes, hopefully.
So real already some impact into not yet the organization, but at least the company culture, if I understand.
Yeah, in any case, the journey to change the culture and move to more innovation, more entrepreneurship, and so on, was there. The willingness was there, no doubt about this. But it's as always, if you do not prove, yes, we can do it, and those are the conditions to make it happen. It's just a beautiful motto on paper, but yeah, it helped to show, yes, we can do it, and it was great for us. Everybody was very excited, and now we are busy. We try to scale up the solution. And I'm very happy to say that I see the same energy within the team to bring the solution to the next level. Normally, it will come, let's say, in 1 month, 1 month and a half. But the same energy is there as well, so it's great, really great.
And so the idea and the, let's say, almost MVP of this bike by P&V product is actually scaling, or will be scaling. Will you be scaling it on a more functional side, or more on a partnership dimension side, or actually both?
There are two dimensions. The first one is that we are extending the partnerships. So the bike insurance, I've not mentioned it, but as part of the insurance product, we have extended the product beyond the pure insurance by bringing some partners, selected partners, who basically offer services and products very focused on prevention and security, because it's part of the DNA of the P&V group. So we are not going to create plenty of partnerships, but when it makes sense, we do. So we are going to extend this. That's one point. The second point is, as I said, Belgium is a very intermediated market. And so when we launched a solution, it was important for us to support our distribution partners. So we could not afford to go direct from day one. It would have been a bad decision. But now we are going to move to the next level and enable our clients or future clients to subscribe fully online and experience or proposal fully online. But still, as we distribute our products with distribution partners, we see this not as a direct product, but we see this as coming in an additional business for our distribution partners. So we always link any contract with the portfolio of an agent or a broker. That's also a way to even further partner with them and help them grow their business. So we do not want to, at least at the moment, to become a direct insurer.
And would you be an embedded insurer in the sense of partnering with whichever, I don't know, bicycle distribution distributor or distributors?
Why not? Huh? It could of course be an idea. I think that's something we may more and more see in the future in the mobilities ecosystem for car, for motorbike, for bike as well. You need to be very close to the manufacturers. That's a critical challenge there. And some insurers are probably better positioned than others to create those kind of partnership. Having a worldwide presence might be a key factor to make it successful, for example. It's not our case, but honestly, if tomorrow there is a Belgium bicycle manufacturer who would come to us, why not? It was not the focus at the beginning. Another way to do it is also to partner with shops,
of course,
or selling the bikes. That's also another options. We're not there yet, but all those options are open for us.
Almost moving to probably a discussion point we might have around open insurance. So, thank you very much, Patrick. Hannah, do we have questions from the audience, either to Patrick or Inji or myself?
Yes, we do.
I haven't looked into I haven't looked into the chat, so maybe
it's okay. I have them. So yes, thank you for sending your questions through, and do keep doing so. You know, we have a good 10 to 15 minutes ahead of us, so please do put your questions directly onto the chat. So the first question I have, which is actually linked to something that Inji said earlier about AI. So what the audience member asks is, so some organizations do not follow the design principle that AI as a technology serves humans. Okay, how can you share this principle with organizations that use AI to replace and eliminate humans? So I don't know if you want to start on that one, Inji.
Okay, yeah, I think it comes back to why do we do innovation? We do innovation to solve a pain point. And it's very important to understand in the first place why we do the things we do in the journey and which sort of frictions we are trying to address. Whenever I have people saying, oh, Inji, can you do an innovation with voice bot or whatever, it's not the right angle. When you see a doctor with symptoms, you express what you have in terms of symptoms, and then you figure out which technology you want to use. The same goes with AI or IoT or blockchain. You're not thinking, well, let's have a project where I can spread some blockchain, IoT, AI, deep learning, etc. It doesn't work like that. Let's assess the situation. Let's see where the friction goes and what we are trying to sort out. AI requires a lot of clean data. We have to be aware of that. It's something that that needs to be used in order to alleviate a specific burden. And in our case, it was an LP because we had surges of call. We knew we had the volume, and we knew we had to serve clients in 2 languages, through devices, WhatsApp, SMS, etc. So that was the proper technology. But we knew as well that in our line of work, the human contact, the empathy was equally important. So when to use AI was for the automation, perhaps the non-added value human like part of things that was essential. So figure out of your process which chunk you want to optimize and make sure that you are using the technology to serve that purpose. Hope that answers perhaps the point.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. You're saying it's not technology for technology's sake. The technology has to serve the need coming from the customers.
And which part of the value chain you want to optimize. So there are chunks where human is essentially important.
And maybe I completely agree with Inji, and it's a strong belief of Accenture that it's human plus machine. It's not machine instead of human. And most of the automation we see using AI is actually driven targeting low value processes, which basically don't make sense to be done by humans.
Exactly.
You know, looking at papers, well, yeah, you receive the paper, and so many things which then sort of frees up time to better serve customer, to better to actually spend time on innovation, yeah, of course there is always a business case into what you do. Of course it makes sense, but thinking that you will replace human in a service situation, well, it doesn't make sense really.
Voilà.
It may prepare a better service. It may allow better service. It might deepen the service. It may be more personalized. But exactly, it's not only a pure automation game. It's a value-added game.
And anything you'd like to add on that, Patrick? Or do you agree? Does everybody agree?
No, I fully agree. To know the Belgian market, again, very intermediated market. 90% of the market is driven by independent brokers. So the personal relationship is extremely important. Now, technology must serve or facilitate that relationship. Can be AI, it can be a simple video call. Yeah, but many distributors discovered video call during the pandemic situation. So if you're using it and you use the technology to ease a process or an interaction, I think it has an added value, but the personal touch at the end is extremely important. For Belgium, at least, I can easily imagine that for other markets, it might be slightly different, but in Belgium, the human touch is still very, very critical. Yeah.
Okay, the next question that came through, I'm going to start with yourself, Patrick, because it comes back to something you said. So you said, do not aim for perfection. Okay, so what the audience member is asking, how do you combine that with legal compliance and risk checks in an agile way?
But there is no choice. You have to be compliant. You have to follow the legal rules and so on. So when I say do not aim for perfection on day one, of course, you have to play by the rules. There is no doubt. The way we did it was extremely simple. We had one of my legal colleague, part of the team, and with that person on board in the team, we could check step by step if it was compliant, if it was okay. To be very honest, when we launched the initiative, we scanned upfront, okay, where do we expect some legal compliance, IT risk, so that, yeah, we know we can anticipate. Being agile for me does not mean that you discover on Monday what's going to happen during the week, and hopefully you deliver by Friday. You can still plan in advance. You still have some topics that takes more than a sprint or 2 sprints to be resolved. So you still have to anticipate at the end. But I would say the clever way to do it is bring those experts within your team. They don't have to be permanent member, maybe, but check with them on a regular basis. It's not that complex, to be honest.
It's about communicating well. Yeah. Okay. Another question that's come through. So here we go. The trend of partnership and ecosystem is value added for customers, but for service providers, this person says they see tech companies providing insurance or digital banking companies providing bookkeeping services. How do you see the trend that the boundary of industries is getting blurred? Is it creating more competition for service providers, for example? So about blurring of boundaries there between who's doing one. So we're coming back round to the open insurance kind of question there. Jean-François, do you want to start us off?
Well, many dimensions to the question. Yes, industry barriers are blurring, but you can see it as a threat, or you can see it as an opportunity. So we do strongly believe there is an opportunity to get closer to the decision point, to be closer to the customer, to be at the moment of need. And so all of the discussions about open insurance, embedded insurance starts with where is the value for the customer. There might be lots of other dimensions of what's the branding, what's the technology. The technology can be implemented. There are many evidence that it's possible. There are quite stringent requirements behind it, but the true question is what's the value for the customer and what are the combined value? Is the combined value allowing both partners, because usually there are at least two parties, to benefit from it? So if we come to a situation where there is value for the customer and that value can be shared with between the parties, then you probably have a viable business proposition to start with, and then you will find a way to implement. And maybe, I don't know, Angie and Patrick, you can expand or provide your view on those on this question.
It's true that as far as open insurance is concerned, today it's blurred because there isn't any regulation with it. If you look back at open banking, it started with regulation PSD2, trying to regulate the way you open the flow of data. Now, you may look at it obviously with the competition of insurtech platform players as a threat, but you could also equally consider, and in our line of work, innovation, that's what we do, consider that it could also alleviate some distribution costs that are sometimes extremely heavy for some products. And I think that's also the angle we need to see. If it serves a better journey for our big clients and the end customer and provides more agility, let's reap the best of it, alleviating distribution costs, providing more services, providing more transparency, providing more fidelity, loyalty of the end customer. These are the ingredients that perhaps we need to look at. And the line is blurred today, but who knows if ultimately, like in the banking, in the open banking field, more regulation will come afterwards. But it's always innovation and then regulation at some point.
No, I do agree, and creating partnerships just to create partnership, for me, it's a nonsense. So what we do at PNV is, if it makes sense and if it fits with the DNA of PNV, then we consider adding some partners to our offering. But it must make a difference for the end customer. But you can do it the other way around with open insurance. At the end, it is about, do you want to be the ecosystem or do you want to be part of an ecosystem? And the scale of the company plays an important role. Not everybody around the globe can afford to be the ecosystem, and it costs a lot of money. But I think that, you have to be careful, or you have to be very close to the market, because if it's quite easy to disrupt the distribution channel, especially in mobility. Jean-François, you mentioned about embedding the insurance as part of your vehicles. It does not really matter what type of vehicle. I'm sure it is coming. But does it mean that everybody is going to buy it? Is a different story. Car manufacturers are selling insurance since years and years and years, but still, at least in Belgium, it's everything except the mainstream. But you have to be part of this as well to know, okay, what's going to happen, what are the trends in those kind of markets. But for me, it's impossible to say what's going to happen, and I'm sure you will have some room for any kind of business model at the end. Some will be bigger than other, but there will be room for everybody.
Okay, so maybe just one last question, which we're going to have to be super quick on, but I'd really like to fit it in. It's coming back to the agile mindset, and we've had a couple of questions come through. But if I shorten it down, can we apply basically the agile methodology to all projects. So we've got a question, for example, here about differences between internal, external projects. But in general, are there limitations to the Agile methodology, or is it open to any type of project, internal, external, any topic, any product, any service?
I'm not sure it's applicable to any kind of project. I've experienced it myself for a large transformation project. So it could not work. It was too big. We had so many streams running in parallel. So many squads running in parallel. You can imagine at the end time you have the scrum of Scrum and all those stuff. But the project was about more than 100 people being involved. In an agile way. I've not seen it working. Maybe some can do it, but I've not seen it. But I think that it's not necessarily about the methodology as such. It's also about the mindset and defining some goals. Maybe easy to achieve, a short time frame, being very focused. Everybody is looking into the same direction. I'm even convinced that you can apply those principles to business as usual activities and daily business, and not only to project. But for big project, I have some doubts.
I fully agree with Patrick. I think that there is a trend to use Agile like Harry Potter magic wand in everything we do, and we need to remember one key element and one key word in what you said, which is the mindset. And if you go back to the origin even of Agile, the manifest, it was simply 4 common sense principles that guided more than prescripted, then became the Scrum methodologies, etc., etc. But if you go back to the origin, it's the manifest and 4 logical principles that you can adapt to your management, and it's common sense pretty much. It's alleviating the burden. It's looking at things, and this is what I take personally from Agile. This good sense, this common sense, the empowerment, the positive aspect, the involvement of customer, which are valuable things. I totally agree with Patrick. It shouldn't be prescriptive and the magical solution to everything we do.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all ever so much. We've come to the end of our time. Thank you for all your inputs. Thank you to everybody for listening in. Thank you for your questions. What we will do is send your questions on to Inji and Patrick as well, and see if we can get you some answers. You never know. And I guess the final word is, of course, to encourage you all to submit your projects for this year's awards. Who knows, you could be here in a few months' time talking to us about your projects and at the ceremony itself at the beginning of June. And I hope to see you both there, Patrick and Inji. I know for sure you'll be there, Jean-François, sharing the trends that are coming out of everything we'll see from the submissions. So as Jean-François said, we have until the beginning of April. Please share your best practices, your insights, and as Jean-François said, get recognition for your teams and all the work that you do behind the scenes. So we look forward to seeing you all again in a few months' time. And thank you all for listening today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.